Hey there, amazing people. I'm thrilled to have you here today. Welcome to our channel, where today's focus is all about Seaforth Channel. Let's get started. Seaforth Channel is a channel in the Central Coast region of the Canadian province of British Columbia, which is part of the Inside Passage, the 950 miles passage between Seattle, Washington and Juneau, Alaska. The marine highway goes through Seaforth Channel on the way to Milbanke Sound, one of the open sea portions of the Inland Passage. Seaforth Channel, which is part of the Prince Rupert Port Hardy BC ferry route, extends in a westerly direction from Denny Island to Milbanke Sound between Denny Island, Campbell Island and the Wright group of islands on the south. In October 2016, a Texas-owned barge transiting the Canadian waters of the Inside Passage without a local pilot was hard-grounded on a reef at the entrance to Seaforth Channel in October 2016. More than a fuel contaminated the coast, coves and shores west of Bella Bella, the core community of the Heiltsuk Nation, as well as the environmentally sensitive Great Bear Rainforest. Canada's contribution to the Queen's Commonwealth Canopy QCC, a network of forest conservation programs. Clean-up response and salvage was criticised by the Heiltsuk before Premier Christy and Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. In November in Vancouver, the Prime Minister announced a ocean protection plan to create a marine safety system, restore marine ecosystems and undertake research into oil spill cleanup methods. Now, let's shift our focus to physical features and embark on an intellectual exploration of its various dimensions. Loma Passage extends from Seaforth Channel to Heiltsuk Sound, with Dryad Point across from Saunders Island at the junction. Wood Island and Ark Island are close offshore at the junction of Seaforth Channel and Trudeau Passage. Newby Island, Munsey Point and Christensen Point lie WNW of Ark Island. Nose Island, west of Christensen Point, is steeped on its south side and has a conspicuous tree about high. Ivory Island with its lighthouse is the northwest entrance point to Seaforth Channel. Since the 19th century, it was well known that the north shores of Seaforth Channel much more irregular in outline than the southern shores. The area surrounding the Beasley Islands, which lie southeast of Dearth Island and north of Nose Island, is encumbered with numerous small islets and drying and below-water rocks. The south shore of Seaforth Channel is not as irregular as the north side. After Athlone, Dufferin, Horseful and Campbell Islands, the channel makes a sharp turn to the passage between Campbell Island and Denny Island. It extends along Denny Island to the junction with Loma Passage between Hunter Island and Denny Island. The tub barge that ran aground on Edge Reef off Athlone Island at the entrance to the Seaforth Channel in October 2016 was heading south. Denniston Point on Dufferin Island, Idle Point on the south side of the channel and Bush Point are located on Seaforth Channel. In this section, we'll be shedding light on Inside Passage shipping route and its impact on our understanding of the subject. The Inland Passage refers to a coastal shipping route along a network of passages which weave through the islands on the Pacific coast of North America from Alaska to Washington. Marine traffic prefers to use the Inside Passage when weather makes travel on the open Pacific Ocean more challenging. It is now a marine highway with cruise ships, freighters, tugs with tows, fishing craft and ships of the Alaska Marine Highway, BC ferries, and Washington State ferries. British Columbia's portion of the Inside Passage has up to 25,000 miles of coastline, including the Strait of Georgia, the Johnstone Strait, the Hecate Strait and Fitzhugh Sound. I-1880, the shipping route that was usually adopted by steamers and others desiring to make the Inland Passage from Queen Charlotte Sound to Dixon Entrance, is by way of Fitzhugh Sound, Loma Passage, Seaforth Channel, Milbanke Sound, Finlayson and Grenville Channels, and Chatham Sound Dixon Entrance. Loma Passage connected Seaforth Channel with Fisher Channel. The Seaforth Channel and Loma Passage meet at the northern end of Campbell Island. Marine traffic on the central coast prefers Seaforth Channel, especially when weather makes travel difficult further offshore. On October 13, 2016, Just after 1 a.m., a Texas-owned articulated tugbarge tugboat, the Nathan East Stewart, secured to the stern of an empty petroleum barge DBL ran hard aground on the edge reef off Athlone Island at the entrance to Seaforth Channel in the Heiltsuk Nation's traditional territorial waters, contaminating the Seaforth Channel area with more than 100,000 litres of fuel. The Nathan East Stewart held approximately of industrial oils including diesel. Although the Seaforth Channel is part of the voluntary tanker exclusion zone, the Nathan East Stewart, which is a U.S. vessel under 10,000 gross tonnage, was allowed to operate by the Pacific Pilotage Authority, without a local pilot on the west coast of Canada. This is a common practice if the crew meets a minimum standard of experience and licensing. None of the 7-member crew of the Nathan East Stewart were injured. The fuel spill was about west of Bella Bella, the core community of the Heiltsuk Nation. The fuel spill threatens dozens of species that are harvested in the area, including Manila clam beds that provide income of up to $150,000 per year for the community. A shellfish harvesting ban was imposed on October 14. The fuel spill is in the environmentally sensitive Great Bear Rainforest, the largest intact old-growth forest in the world. The operator responsible for the tug and barge are Kirby Offshore Marine, a Texas-based operator. In 2011, when the Nathan East Stewart lost power and was set adrift in rough waters of Alaska, journalists at the time drew attention to the Pacific Pilotage Authority waiver that exempted the barge, which makes routine weekly runs between Vancouver and Alaska through the Inside Passage, from the requirement of having Canadian pilots on board. Following the October incident, the Pacific Pilotage Authority revoked the barge's waiver. The Canadian Coast Guard, who were leading the cleanup, arrived on scene at 2:19 a.m. at CCG Station Bella Bella. They called in the Western Canada Marine Response Corporation WCMRC at 4:30 a.m. and their vessels and crew from Vancouver and Prince Rupert arrived on site at 5:30 p.m. A mobile skimming vessel, boom skiff, workboat, and tug, along with a total of 2,500 feet of boom, were on site. The tugboat settled under 9 meters of water in Seaforth Channel. By October 26, the tanks of fuel on the submerged tug had been pumped out and 110,131 liters of an oil-water mixture were recovered, but oil was discovered in at least 3 coves in Seaforth Channel. Bad weather prevented the salvage operation. Resolve Pioneer, a salvage vessel, arrived in Bella Bella on November 8, and the damaged Nathan East Stewart was raised from the seafloor on November 14. It was hauled to Surrey before Christ on November 19, but cleanup continued. The Heiltsuk before Christ Premier Christy Clark and Prime Minister Justin Trudeau criticized the oil spill response as inadequate and unacceptable. The incident highlighted concerns about lack of capacity of existing response teams as on the eve of proposed pipelines, which would lead to even more tanker traffic on the Inside Passage. On November 6 in Bella Bella, Federal Minister of Transportation Mark Juneau met briefly with Heiltsuk hereditary and elected chiefs, and on November 7 in Vancouver, Prime Minister Trudeau announced a ocean protection plan which will creating a marine safety system, restoring marine ecosystems, and research into oil spill cleanup methods. Remember to follow me on social media for behind-the-scenes content and updates.